Okay, students, good afternoon once again. And let's just continue with the chapter that we started the other day. Our chapter Should Wizard Hit Mommy, as we discussed the other day, has been written by who's the author of this chapter? See, the author is John Updike, and as you people know, as I told you the other day, he was a prolific American author, poet, as well as literary critic, and he's best known for his Rabbit series of novels. And his works, as we discussed the other day, his works revolve around the deep understanding of middle class life of the Americans. And this particular author, John Updike, he has bagged many prestigious prizes, including the Pulitzer Prize for fiction, and he is one of the three authors, and one of the three authors who he's only one of the three authors who had won this prestigious prize twice. Okay, so this story, Should Wizard Hit Mommy, it revolves around the father who would tell his daughter the same story every day with only a few variations to get her to sleep. Okay, during the night and as well as on Saturday afternoons. Okay, so this particular story it raises a few unusual questions and it basically highlights the clash that is there between the parental authority. We've not come to that part so far, but we will be discussing it today. Okay, so the protagonist of the story is Jack. Okay, and he would tell his daughter, and the name of the daughter is Joe or Joanne. Joe is the nickname, and every single day he would tell her a story, and also on Saturday for Saturday naps to get his daughter fall asleep. And the stories would come out instantly from his head, but he was not very imaginative, as is clear from the fact that the basic plot would always be the same, and there would be slight variations in that only. And there would always be an animal, and that animal would be named Roger, who would go to the wise old owl for a solution to a unique problem that he suffered from. And the wise old owl, what would the owl do? He would direct Roger to a wizard for the solution to his problem. And a wizard would solve the problem, and he would ask from Roger he would ask Roger for more money than Roger actually had. And he would also tell Roger where to find the extra money from. And he would find the Roger would find the money, he would pay the wizard, and he would run off to play with his friends. And then afterwards, Roger would come back to his home, and the entire family would have dinner, and Jack would describe the dinner, and the story would be over. Okay, so of late, Jack had begun to find these storytelling sessions, especially on Saturdays, very tiresome. Can you tell me why? Can you tell why did he start finding the storytelling sessions tiresome? I need more participants to raise their hands. And I need to Malvika has given the answer because Joe never fell asleep on Saturdays because she had grown up now and she would not fall asleep with the stories. Okay. Yes, am I audible now? Are you able to hear my voice, students? Okay. She says because I'm not able to hear you, but you can just reply in the chat messages. Okay, fine. So of late, as described by Malvika, Jack had begun to find these storytelling sessions, especially on Saturday nights, very tiresome because she would not fall asleep anymore. Okay, and this particular story, which she started telling that day, that Saturday, was about Roger Skunk. And as is clear by the name, it was a very stinky skunk, and the other animals just made fun of him and they would just run away from him. Nobody played with Roger Skunk. And Jack he drew on his own childhood memories to give the details on how the other animals made fun of Roger Skunk, because he himself had faced a lot of humiliations during his childhood. So he drew on his own memories to describe each and every detail of how the other animals made fun of him, how nobody wanted to play with him. And Jack believed that his daughter he should know the realities. She should be aware of the realities of life, and he was very pleased that the kind of effect that he wanted to have on his daughter with this particular side of the story, it was having the desired effect on her. So same storyline, the same plot was there. He went to the wise old owl. The owl directed him to a wizard. The wizard eventually changed his smell to that of roses. Okay, and many times in between, Joe interrupted the story, and and also during the storytelling session, Jack also wanted to hurry up the storytelling session because he wanted to wind it up early because he had to go downstairs to help his wife Claire. Okay, and we have done till this much that he had started smelling of roses. So I share the text, the content with you, and then we continue with the part that is left because that is the main part of the story. He smelled so good. He smelled of roses. So everybody was so happy. And when he went back to the woods, he started playing with his friends. He played all the different sorts of games. And she also inquired about a particular game, Pickup Sticks. This was the reality phase, which had come into Joe's life, and she had started questioning things, and she had started knowing more about the things about the real life. And like the she talks about she asks about the pickup sticks and says it's a game that you play with sticks. This we've already done, and they played games and they laughed all afternoon, and then it began to get dark, and they all ran home to their mommies. Okay, so this was the part which we have already covered. Joe was starting to fuss with her hands and look out of the window at the crack of the day that showed under the shade. She thought that the story was all over. Jack underlined this line. Jack did not like women when they took anything for granted. He liked them to be apprehensive. He liked them to be frightened. He liked them to be anxious. He liked them to be afraid of things and hanging on to his words. He wanted the women, the ladies in her house also, his wife or whether it was his daughter, to just cling on to him, to his words. Now, Joe, are you listening? Yes. Because this is very interesting. So just because of the fact that Joe was not paying attention, he felt that she was not concentrating. What did he do? He changed the climax of the story. He changed the end of the story, and he says, because this is very interesting. Roger Skunk's mommy said, "What's that awful smell?" What? So the mother says that this is the awful smell that is coming from you. I don't want to have this smell on you because you are not having your original smell, the way the skunk should smell like. Okay, so she gets shocked and she gets surprised and she says what? And we continue from this page. So, and Roger Skunk said, "It's me, mommy. I smell like roses." And she said, "Who made you smell like that?" And he said, the wizard. And she said, "Well, of all the nerve, you come with me and we are going right back to that very awful wizard." Joe sat up. This kind of story ending she had not expected because she would always have a happy kind of an ending where in that Roger, whosoever Roger was, his problem would be solved and everything would be happy. So, and everybody would be happy. Jo sat up, her hands dabbling in the air with genuine fright. What do you mean by dabbling? What is this word dabbling? What is dabbling? Can anyone just respond? Chatting only with the chat. What is dabbling? Have you ever heard of this word? Jo sat up, her hands dabbling in the air. You can think she was just moving her hands. Vishwaji says moving her hands. Think over this word and try and judge its meaning. Anand says moving or waving. She was just waving her hands because she was getting restless. Because this was not the kind of end that she had expected. So she was afraid with this kind of an ending, the climax of the story. And that there was she was moving. Guru says she was moving her hands very fast. Yes, she was waving her hands. She was moving her hands fast. Why? Because of genuine fright. She was afraid. She did not like this kind of ending. Why? Because she was so happy that all the other animals had become friends with Roger Skunk and everybody played together. But now with this kind of an ending, again the animals would run away, would make fun of Roger Skunk. They would run away from him, and she did not like this fact. But Daddy, then he said about the other little animals run away. Her hands skittered off into the underbush. What is skittered off? Her hands skittered off. What is skittered off? think of this word, and in the meantime, I'll just you can raise your hands. I'm just going to change the settings. I want the your voice also should be audible to me. To chat, you can respond. You people can respond. Yes. To run quickly move your hand. This we've already discussed. Okay. Yes. Moving the hands quickly. Okay. Yes. You're fine. You're right. Okay. Her hands skittered off. Okay. Okay, Simran. Okay. Her hand skittered off into the underbush. All right, he said, but mommy, all the other little animals ran away. And she said, I don't care. You smell the way a little skunk should have, and I'm going to take you right back to that wizard. So this is what the mother said. She said, you cannot just lose your originality. What your basic personality is, what your originality is. You cannot lose it for somebody else. You have to learn to accept the reality of life. You have to learn to accept the way you are. So that is why what she did, she took an umbrella and she went back with Roger Skunk and hit that wizard right over the head. Let me open the book. No, Joe said, and put her hand out to touch his lips. Now she started, she has her own opinion and she wants to voice her own opinion, and that is why she says no, and she goes on to touch his lips, and she just wants to stop him from speaking further. Yet, even in her agitation, did not quite dare to stop the source of truth. Inspiration came to her. Then the wizard. Then she said, I want the story to end like this. Then the wizard hit her on the head and did not change that little skunk back. She wanted the story to end like this. She said, "Okay, the mommy hit the wizard, but I want this. I don't want the story to end like this. I want the story to end the way I want it to, and I want the wizards to be hitting the stupid mommy." Okay, and no, he said. The wizard said, "Okay." And Roger Skunk did not smell of roses anymore. He smelled very bad again. But the father is insistent, and he's insisting, and he wants the story to end that very way. But the other little animals, Joanne, it's Daddy's story. Shall Daddy not tell you any more stories? Her broad face looked at him through sifted light, astounded. So she was very much surprised, and by the fact that the father was threatening her that if she would not accept the story the way he had ended the story, then he would stop telling her more stories. This is what happened. Then Roger Skunk and his mommy went home and they heard woo, and it was the shoo shoo train bringing Daddy Skunk home from Boston. And they had lima bean, celery, liver. So he would describe, as he always did, he would describe their supper, their dinner. Okay, we move on to the next page. So they had mashed potatoes and pie oh my for dessert. And when Roger Skunk was in bed, Mommy Skunk came up and hugged him and said he smelled like a little baby skunk again, and she loved him very much. And that is the end of the story, according to Jack. But Daddy, what? Then did the other animals run away? No, because eventually they got used to the way he was and did not mind it at all. This is what the father says. He says gradually they got used to the smell of the skunk, his original smell, and they stopped minding about that smell. They didn't mind it after some time. So she couldn't understand this word because she had heard it the first time, and that is why she says, "What is eventuality?" She wants to say eventually. So she couldn't understand it, and then she doesn't even know how to pronounce it. So she says, "What is eventuality?" He says, "Eventually" means in a little while. That was a stupid mommy. It was not. He said with rare emphasis. Underline this also. Underline this line. He said this very emphatically, very forcefully, and believed from her expression that she realized he was defending his own mother to her or something as odd. So how forcefully he said this statement that the mother was not stupid, it seemed as if Jack had a very he was bonded to his mother a lot, and he wanted to defend his own mother by saying so. Now I want you to put your big heavy head in the pillow and have a good long nap. He adjusted the shade so not even a crack of day showed and tiptoed. he just moved on his toes towards the door in the pretense that she was already asleep. Okay, he wanted to make sure that she was already asleep, and he was just pretending also that he thought that she was already asleep. But when he turned, she was crouching on top of the covers and staring at him. Hey, get under the covers and fall fast asleep. Bobby is asleep. Since your brother is already asleep, and you need to also go back to sleep fast. Okay, and the next line says. She just stood up and bounced gingerly on the springs. Daddy, what? Tomorrow, I want you to tell me the story that wizard took the magic wand and hit that match. So she is not at all satisfied with the kind of ending, the kind of climax that the story had, and she wants her father to tell the same story to her the next day, but with the kind of ending that she wants. And she says that you tell me the story that the wizard took the magic wand and hit that wand. Her plump arms chopped forcefully right over the head. No, that is not the story. He says, no, I'm not going to tell you that story because I don't agree to it. No, that is not the story. The point is that the little skunk loved his mommy more than he loved all the other little animals, and she knew what was right. So he wanted to make it clear to his daughter what he thought. He felt that parents are always right and they know what is best for their children. No, but she's not ready to listen to him, and she says, no, tomorrow you say he hit that mommy, do it. She kicked her legs up and she just sat down on the bed with a great heel and complained of springs. She was just moving her legs a lot, and as she had done hundreds of times before, except that this time she did not laugh. Why was she not laughing? Because she was serious. Because she wanted the story to end that way. She wanted the mother to be hit hard by the wizard. Say, Daddy. Well, we'll see. Now at least have a rest. Stay on the bed. You are a good girl. He closed the door and went downstairs. Claire had spread the newspapers and opened the paint can, and wearing an old shirt of his on top of a maternity smock. On top of her dress, she was wearing an old shirt because she was about to paint, and stroking the chair rail with a dipped brush. Above him, footsteps vibrated and he called. He could still hear uh, Joanne moving springing her legs. Joanne, shall I come up there? And he's so irritated. He's got so irritated with her that he says, I'm going to come up and I'm going to spank you. The footsteps hesitated. And the moment he said that, the footsteps retreated. That was a long story, Claire said. The poor kid, he answered, and with utter weariness watched his wife labor. The woodwork, a cage of moldings and rails and baseboards all around them was half old tan and half new ivory, and he felt caught. Underline this. This is an important question. And he felt caught in an ugly middle position. You need to answer it in a few minutes. And though he as well felt his wife's presence in the cage with him. He did not want to speak with her. He did not want to work with her. He did not want to do anything. Okay, so just underline this also, the last line, and also he felt himself caught in an ugly middle position. We're going to discuss these questions shortly, and let me just try once more and change the settings so that I can just so that I'm able to hear you also. But before that, let me capture your attendance because the questions of the chapter. What is, we have not discussed the in-text questions also, so we'll discuss them first. Who is Jo and how does she respond to her father's storytelling? Raise your hands. Who is Jo and how does she respond to her father's storytelling? Khushpreet. Yes, Khushpreet. Bolo bache. Bolo bolo.
Ma'am, Jo is Jack's daughter.
Yes.
She would fall asleep while listening the story, but now as she has turned 4 year olds, she responds to her father's storytelling by raising moral questions.
Yes, she has started responding by raising moral questions because, and by raising not only moral questions, by raising questions in general. Because she has entered, as we've discussed in the story, she has entered a new stage, a new phase has come into her life, and that is the reality phase. So she had started questioning things, and this is not only during the storytelling sessions but otherwise also. Whenever her father would tell her something, she would go to her mother to confirm it, and vice versa. When her mother would tell her something, as she would, if she was not satisfied, she would just come to her father to confirm it from him. Okay. The next question says, what do you think was Joe's problem? Yes, Alam. Alam, what was Joe's problem?
Jo is a little girl who was accustomed to hear stories happy endings, usually happy endings from her father.
Yes.
She was unable to grasp the true worth of one's originality, which his father mentioned in the story. She wants Roger to be accepted, even if it means getting rid of his original smell. So she finds his mommy stupid and unreasonable because there is naiveness in just a child's perspective. Hence, she
Yes,
thinks like
there is
this.
nameless because she's an innocent child. She cannot have an adult's perspective on this. She is thinking from the perspective of a child, and that is why her reaction to the story is that it is better to fit in than to be different. Because when he was different, when he was smelling bad, nobody accepted him. They just ostracized him. They just shunned him. They never, his friends never played with him. They only made fun of him. So her point of view is that it is she cannot think like a mature person, and her point of view is that parents should always strive. They should always work hard to make the child's life pleasant, and that is what she wanted Skunk's mother to do, rather than making it difficult. Okay, so this was her problem. Let's move on to the textbook questions, reading with insight. The first question says, what is the moral issue that the story raises? What is the moral issue that the story raises? Yes, Vishwajit, you can respond.
The moral issues that the story means that the story raises is
Yes,
that the different perspectives of a human of a adult and of a children about
exactly.
life.
Yes, yes,
Like she was Miss Joe was a small girl of around 4 years. So
yes,
ma'am, she always took the world in a positive way, and she was very simple, and she said that if she hit him means if her mother hit Wizard, so he should also hit her back. ठीक है,
yes,
because he feels that he feels that she feels that her mother was wrong in hitting him, ठीक है, as he
yes,
just helped Roger Skunk.
yes,
But basically, ma'am, his father is basically trying to explain her in another way that the parents, whatever they do it for your own benefit.
yes. So there is basically the moral issue is that it basically revolves around the conflict that is there between a child's perspective with that of the parent or an adult. Because as a parent, he wanted to reinforce this point that whatever the parents think of their children is always for the best of them, and he wanted to reinforce this thing that whatever originality you have, whatever personality you have, you cannot give it up for the others. But Joe, on the other hand, as a child, she was thinking as a child, and as we had discussed it earlier, she wanted the mommy to be hit back by the wizard, because she wanted Roger Skunk to have friends, and she wanted his life to be pleasant. She did not want that her friends should just run away from him like they used to do earlier. Okay, fine. Next question. Okay, the next question is, let me just get the book. Next question is, how does Joe want the story to end and why? Abhay, how does Joe want the story to end and why?
Ma'am, Joe was very happy when she got to know that now Roger Skunk smell like roses. So she wanted that the story should end happily and all the friends of Roger Skunk should play with him. So she wants the happy ending, and she also wants that the wizard should hit the mommy back.
Yes, very good. Is anybody else who wants to just add on to this? Malvika? Malvika, would you like to add on?
Ma'am, Joe always wanted that the story should be happily ended, and was very reluctant when when she got to know that the father's story was not a happy ending, and also wanted that the wizard that Joe wizard should hit the mommy back, and wanted that the Joe Roger skunk do not should only smell like roses, but when she was very sad after knowing the point that his smell was changed, and he was again smelling
And he
very
started very awful. Yes, fine. So why does very good? Why does Jack insist that it was the wizard that was hit and not the mother? Why did he insist that it was a wizard that should be hit and not the mother? Yes, Kushpreet. Kushpreet.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, Jack was a father, and according to his point of view, parents are always a well-wisher of child, and they always want good of their child. So when Joe said that the story should not end like that, it was the mother that was hit and not the wizard. But Joe wants to justify the point of view of the mother. So he insisted that it was the wizard that was hit and not the mother.
Yes. So he wants to justify the point of view of the mother because he himself was very much attached to his mother. So basically, through that point of view, he was defending his own mother. Okay. And next is what makes Jack feel caught in an ugly middle position? What makes him caught in an ugly middle position? Yes, raise your hands. The other students also raise your hands. What makes it? I'm going to give you an assignment related to this chapter, which you have to complete by Thursday. We would be discussing those questions on Wednesday most probably, but I would be sending that assignment today itself so that you can complete the questions within time. Yes, Vishwaji. What makes him caught in an ugly middle position? Vishwaji,
Yes, ma'am.
follow.
So yes, ma'am. So he is caught in an ugly middle situation, as ma'am. He was not able to help his wife in her work, whatever she was doing, and moreover, ma'am, yeah, he basically told stories to her daughter Joe, so that she could so that she could sleep. But now she was means she came into a realistic stage of life, so she became inquisitive and started asking questions, and also did not sleep by his means by his stories. So he got to know that, so he was in a situation that he was also not able to help his wife, and moreover her daughter did not also sleep by his
Yes,
story.
he was not able to do either, and his child had gone into kind of an argumentation with him regarding the ending of the story. She was not ready to sleep at all, and moreover, he wanted to finish up the story currently because he wanted to go down and help his wife, but he was not able to do any of the works to his satisfaction. He was neither able to make his child sleep, nor was he able to go in time to help out his wife paint the woodwork. Okay, what is your stance regarding the two endings of Roger's Khan's story? So, see, the author doesn't want that you just stick to one particular point of view. Both the point of views are justified, but you just need to elaborate, and you need to justify yourself in whatever you feel. So, what is your stance regarding the two endings? Yes, Anna, what is your stance?
Both the sides in the stories where the child's perspective is that the monk should get all the life traits and
Yes,
should have more friends. What a
yes,
child wants him from his or her life,
yes,
because they have this neighbors and they do not know the reality of the life,
yes,
and they just to live in the moment, and they don't have any worries or any tensions as such.
yes, very
While
good.
the while Jack wanted his daughter to realize that even if the society does not accept you as you are, you should respect your own self with your originality and individual
Yes, the individuality. You have to respect your individuality, your personality, your characteristics. You cannot just give into the society, and you cannot just go in with the flow. You have to respect your own self first in order to be respected by others. This is the point of view of an adult. Yes, Guru says may I leave. Yes, you can leave. I marked you present, but I will take the attendance shortly because I'm going to take it again because I see 48 students now and there were 54 earlier. So the 6 who have vanished already will be marked absent today. Guru would be marked present because he has taken my permission to leave. Okay, so this is very rude on your part and highly indisciplined. You sound very indisciplined by just leaving the class like this without even informing me. Okay, so this is we have points of view and both of them are justified. She's a 4-year-old child and she is looking from the point of view of a child only. She is having her perspective as a child. She is innocent and she doesn't want that Roger Skunk should feel hurt if his friends would not play with him or shun him or ostracize him. So she's thinking from that point of view. She's right in her point of view, but from the adult's perspective, from their age and from their experience, we can come to know that what they're thinking for their children is best. Why is an adult's perspective on life different from that of a child? How is an adult's perspective different from that of a child? Very easy question. Yes, Vishwajit, please respond. Vishwajit, बोलो बच्चे मैं notice दे रही हूँ दोबारा बोलो बोलो challenge.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, it's basically different from adult perspective is always different from a child's perspective. As ma'am, the child only thinks that what a person has done, so the person should also revert the back in the same way. Like wizard, Joe said that if wizards, if Skunk's mother hit wizards, so wizards should also hit the mother back. But ma'am, basically the humans, basically the adults, an adult basically know that how to live a practical life, and they know that who is more important and which relation is more important. As his father her father replied that her mother is more important than her friends. So remember, these types of things, the children do not have that much capability to think about these type of things.
Yes. So, adults' perspective, because of their experience of life, because of their age, we can say that they've had more practical experience. So, whatever they think for the children is best. But from a child's perspective, because of their innocence, because they're naive, they cannot see through the things and they don't have so much of practical experience. So that is why definitely their point of view is going to be different from that of an adult. Okay, so you can, and we have in each and every question we have discussed this thing only. So we have a set of questions that have come from the department. I will be sending those questions to you today itself. You can just go through them so that the next time we meet, you are prepared with them and we can discuss them. Okay, and I think we are running short of time. We just left with 1 or 2 more moments. So that would be all for today. Just revise this chapter and I would be sending you questions in a short while.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.